So when I was 17, I'm 37 now. I've always wanted to be a father. My youngest sister's 12 years younger than me, so I helped raise her.
Yeah.
And so I just waited till I found the perfect woman, which I did. And so my partner and I, we've had 3 beautiful children, all healthy. We've said we only wanted 3 kids. Very, very blessed that like every time we consciously said, let's have a baby, it was like then, bang, bang. It was just like to a T we could plan it, which was really beautiful. So our daughter's really healthy. I'm like, yeah, cool, it's time to get the vasectomy. For me, it was like, one, I don't want to have my partner on any, what do you call it? Prescription stuff, like the pill and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For her body, or putting rods in her arm or anything like that.
Sure.
And then also to expand our sex life too, of like not having, because I've had a lot of mates had that 3rd or 4th child unplanned. And so I just like, well, cool, if I can take responsibility to that, I will. And as soon as I booked it in, all of this deep sadness came up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it was like, and I was noticing this really deep sadness. And one of he's a Native American, he teaches Native American ceremony over in America. He came to me in a dream and he held me in this tree and I just bawled my eyes out, man. I woke up. I was like, man, I've let go of all that grief. And the grief it was like letting go of an identity of I actually became a father. Yeah. And but my thing was I've gone now from a dad. Like I believe anyone could be a dad, but it takes a real man to be a father, to actually raise their young and actually instill the values and beliefs and set boundaries. But anyone can just have a kid and walk away from it if they want that dad. So I felt all that sadness, and it was a really like I don't really feel those identity deaths that much. Like it's very a feminine thing. I felt, but yeah, went to see Dr. Snip. The lady, the nurse, she was an ice queen, bro. She had no compassion or empathy there.
Oh, really?
Just a number. So I'm like, hey, how are you? Yeah, good. Sit down. It's like, oh, I was like, man, really?
I had
like,
the complete opposite feeling. I'll tell you mine in a moment. You go first.
And so it was ice. And
wow,
because I'd had this experience of grieving, I just like literally, especially as a woman, just wanted that nurture and then didn't get it. And I'm petrified of needles. Even though I have tattoos, I faint. And so I wrote that on the form, sit on the, exactly. And this, the first thing they say is like, you're inked up. I'm like, there's a difference between getting injected something or just a surface. But anyway, so needle goes into the cock. I can literally feel all of this stuff going on.
Did you feel it come up?
Bro, yeah. And then I started to lose consciousness. So I started doing my breath work to stay present. And I'm like, hey, I'm about to faint. I'm really hot. Can you help me get this hoodie off? They just stood there, bro. And so I'm fumbling around like an apprentice trying to get this hoodie off with 2 people not even helping. And I asked for help and support. And it's just like, oh, and I finally got it off. They declined me, ice under the head. And he had to keep going, man, because it only has that short period of time.
You got the window,
so he's doing this procedure. I'm still just consciously breathing to stay present. And then next thing I'm still declined and they both just leave the room and just leave me there. And the mind chatter got really loud of like, you're alone. And it was like, all you wanted was love. But I caught it, man. And it was an amazing experience catching it. And then it was the first time in a really deeply long time that I found the presence of God or love or consciousness. And I just had this mantra. It's like, bro, your source, your consciousness. And this over relation of joy and gratitude came through me. And especially with men's work, or like a lot of those things that I teach is, man, you don't need to do this alone anymore. But this vasectomy was one of those things I needed to cross that threshold on my own to find that place of sovereignty. And so, yeah, it was a traumatic experience, man. Though it had a beautiful pinnacle. But yeah, you said you had the opposite.
I had the opposite experience. My dad drove me out, right? Because
wow.
My dad had one, he's done back in the day. It was a different world, right? Different world. So I'm like, I don't know. I've heard horror stories of dudes' nuts blowing up like balloons, like it goes horribly wrong. I don't know if I'm going to be a bit woozy after the needle. You're happy to drive me out, mate? And he's like, yeah. So, I mean, I drove there. I ended up driving back because it wasn't that big a deal in terms of procedure. But I'm a little bit weird with needles as well, which is funny because, like all the nurses joke at me. I went for a CT or something once. I can't remember, for my shoulder. I blew my shoulder out. I had to get a scan and I went out just in the chair.
Yeah.
And I wake up and there's like 5 nurses around me and they're like, and she's giggling at me. Why do all the blokes with ink go out? And I'm like, yeah. I said, I can explain my story to you if you want, because my story is about being 17 and having glandular fever and like having no juice at all and just being a pincushion. So, I mean, I could have sneezed and fainted, but the needle went in and I'd go, root, and it happened so many times. I created this subconscious routine. And I've only just gotten over it because I was like, okay, I don't like that. I don't need that anymore. It can go away. But anyway, back to the snip. Walk in, get called in, see you, mate. I say to my dad, I'll come out less of a man. We're having a bit of a joke, you know. And I get in there and I said, look, you know, I'm not great with needles. I'm okay. If I'm lying down, it'll be no problem. I'm not going to go out. And he's like, just tell us what's happening and we'll let you know. And the needle goes in. He said, you'll feel a little prick. And I'm like, yeah, I bet you say that to all the boys, right? And, oh, that feels a bit weird. He's like, no, it's just a nurse. She's just touching your cock. You'll be fine. So they're having a bit of a giggle. And she was ace, you know, she's, you know, got the tools to hold everything and get everything out of the way. And she's having a giggle. And I'm like, I can feel after they eject me going up my guts. And he's like, it doesn't go up into your guts. There's no sensation there. It's all in your head. I'm like, huh, okay. Well, I'll just write out the experience, right?